Hey, Jamsters. Did you miss us? I know that we missed you. It's been probably about 12 days since we actually put out a podcast, which is the longest it's ever been since the Suns Jam session has gone without a podcast. I welcome my good friend Matthew in as per usual. Matthew, how you doing? Welcome to the Suns Jam session podcast. It's been 12 days, man.
It's been crazy. A lot of hate mail, a lot of death threats. So we're back.
That's
all it takes, dude. Like, we'll step away for a little bit, but if you get angry, we'll come right back for you.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't take any more hate mail coming via Twitter and coming via, sunsjamsession@gmail.com. Shameless plug of people wanting to hear us talk. Obviously, we had we're both working our asses off right now. I know that I feel like you're working late every day.
Yeah, family's in town. It's been a little bit of a weird schedule, but we're back.
Yes,
but happy to be here, dude. I'm pumped up. I'm pumped up. We're getting to the Western and Eastern Conference Finals. It's going to get political on here. It's like we're going to ask you questions like, does Jamal Murray look like a llama?
Mm-hmm.
And is Nikola Jokic, is he Mother Teresa reincarnated with the praying he does to the refs? I don't understand what that is.
I don't know either, but you know what? These are questions that are probably going to be answered, and if they're not answered, wait till the next podcast, and then we'll be able to answer those for you. I can't believe it's already like the Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals time. Like, I feel like literally the Suns just finished going 8-0. And now we're already 2 rounds down in the playoffs. And that's, again, another thing that's weird in 2020 is how fast the playoffs are actually progressing. Because typically they take like 5 months. And now they're just like every other day, we're playing a game. We're playing a game. Let's get through this shit. We have to compete with the NFL right now. Our ratings are probably plummeting.
Yeah, well, it's like back to back. Like each game, like you have one night. Well, last night there was no games because of the NFL. So they're really getting what they want with the NBA. I feel like they're playing in between the games right now. Mm-hmm. I'm not really too worried about the ratings. But honestly, I think that they're doing a great job of just having the games back to back. Like you have one game one night, and the next night you have the other conference play. It's perfect. It works out that way. So I kind of think like, how are they going to have that go into next season where maybe we're playing at our home arenas next year? That's going to be strange. I feel like maybe they can pull it off in a different way. Maybe we'll have a podcast just dedicated to figuring out the playoff scenario for next year.
We did that during the pandemic, and we swung and missed on literally every scenario we thought that was going to happen going into the bubble before there was even a bubble. So, Nikola Jokic, Mother Teresa, I don't know.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. A reminder to all the Jamsters out there, please be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast, whether it's on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Stitcher. If you're watching via live stream, and stop by our YouTube page and make sure that you subscribe there and you hit the little bell. So every time we go live with a live stream, you hit the little ding and you can pop in, say hi, leave some comments, say what's up to us. Make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram @SunsJam. And you can follow me on Twitter @DarthVoida. You can follow Matthew on Twitter
@MatthewLucy.
All right. Well, I've been missing drinking with my Suns buddies. So I got here this Juicy Jack IPA, Santan IPA that somebody left at my house. So I'm going to pop this bad boy open, and we're going to talk a little bit of Suns and some Western Conference Finals. So as I mentioned, it's great to be back, taking a 12-day hiatus from doing a podcast. Sorry, Jamsters, that Matthew and I couldn't assist you by giving you your bi-weekly fix of Suns Jam session. We did a family in town from Kentucky and California, all over the place. Everybody came for some reason the week after Labor Day to come in and hang out. Shout out to the fam. It was great seeing all you guys. Go back to your states, and we're going to go back to doing some Suns Jam session stuff. Not too much to talk about with the Phoenix Suns going on. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons we're slowing down the pods just for a little bit, taking a little bit of a break as we get ready for the draft, which has been moved back a month now, right, Matthew? It's November 8th. It's 2 months to the day that we're recording this.
Yeah, they keep moving it back and back and back further and further. So we have like a lot of players already kind of ranked out. We've been studying these guys, but I feel like we're going to kind of push them back towards the draft to where we get kind of amped more for these guys because we got 2 months to wait. And we got the Western Conference Finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, and the NBA Finals, all of that. But we're going to kind of intertwine how these finals kind of, how they're related to the Suns in a way. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that would be a great way to like get this podcast started off, right?
Yeah, like how we are indirectly linked to the finals the Western Conference Finals and even the second round. As you see these teams come to their demise, how does it affect the Suns? How's it?
Yeah.
What way is the NBA going? I think that's kind of a fun conversation that we'll touch on. No prospect reviews in this one because I got to admit, Matthew, and we were going to do a little prospect reviews. I'm so sick of looking at fucking prospects because we've been looking at prospects since like March. It's September. It's almost October. There's never been a longer period of looking at prospects in the history of the NBA. And I want the draft to get here so we can just start talking shit about whoever the Suns get,
Oh yeah, me too. But we've been doing the prospect thing for like the last 6 years. It's like, which guys are we going to get in the draft? Like that's all we can really look forward to. But it's kind of a different season going into this next year. It's kind of like, what can we add to build around Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and the core we have now? So, we don't have to focus too much on the draft. Maybe we'll get one of our guys. I feel like we'll have our guys going into the draft. But right now I feel like, we just got to pay attention to some fun basketball right now. It's been really entertaining, honestly.
No, it's been quality basketball. And I think that the fun thing about the bubble that's unbelievably unique, it is the great equalizer, right? Like there's no home court advantage. So this is really like the true talent of teams playing in a bubble and seeing who's really the best team. Like, before you could make kind of comments, hey, maybe the refs blew a call because they were influenced by the home fans booing at them and, being drunk and talking shit to them the whole time. Now they're just blowing calls for the fuck of it. They're just blowing calls because they're really bad.
Yeah, I know. I feel like maybe because they're getting more screen time because of the bubble, like there's more focus on the refs. So they're really doing that fake stuff like LeBron brings to the games where LeBron has that fake attitude. I feel like that's the refs now. It's like, oh, there's a call. Take that. This is my game. This is our game. We're going to call it this way. Hey, that's a flop. If it's what I hate the most is like when there's a flop, they call it a foul, and then towards the end of the game, the flops don't count. It's like, can we just be consistent for once in our lives on this?
Over the place.
It's insane how it's always been that way. But in the bubble, you notice it more because there's not a crowd around, like you said. You just can focus on the players more, and just you can see the game really just how it develops towards the end, where the refs are calling it one way, then they switch it up. I still don't understand why we don't have any explanations why the game is ref the way it is, but I don't think we'll ever get that, right? We'll never have the documentary I want where it's behind the scenes and the refs in the locker room, not taking showers, but just in the locker room, figuring things out, rewatching the game. That would be awesome. I think that would be great.
Yeah, we'll never get that true understanding.
We'll never have that, though.
Darn, Oh, shucks. I don't have to see Tim Donaghy in the shower. Shit. It's human error, and I guess that's part of the game. And one thing I've always said, and the Suns unfortunately know this all too well, is never put yourself in a position in which the refs are determining the game.
Yes.
But that's how great this competition is going on in the bubble right now. Like every game is close, and then the refs do have to decide it, unfortunately, and we've seen it a little too often. As we go through and, again, been 12 days since we've done a pod, there's 4 teams that are now gone, Matthew. Last time we spoke, not all these teams were gone, and it's going to be interesting how all of these teams kind of approach the offseason because clearly they know they need to get better. They want to go win a championship, except the Clippers. Apparently the Clippers don't want to win a championship. Like, did you hear Paul George at the end of that game?
Yes. How many times are we going to have this at the end of the game? Just like not throwing his team under the bus, but himself in a way where he's just kind of saying, if we win, we win, we lose, we lose. But it's like, no, dude, like this team and this owner like put a lot into, gaining your trust and having you have the opportunity to win a championship with Kawhi. And it's probably not going to happen, of course. Maybe, who knows, not next year. But if it doesn't happen next year, then they're not back the next year. Maybe they go somewhere else. Maybe they get bored. That is something that would drive me insane. It would give me a headache, more migraines than ever if I was a Clippers fan. I feel like, is that the saddest ending in the playoffs you've ever seen in a long time, where the Clippers are just, we're done. We don't feel like playing. Basically.
Well, I mean, Paul George literally says the wrong thing every time. Like, imagine Devin Booker saying, you know what, guys?
That would be terrible.
This wasn't the championship year. We didn't really feel like giving it our all. I mean, it's frustrating, man. And as far as the the team being one of the most disappointing teams ever, or at least in the past 5 years, I'd have to say yes. I mean, the expectations with that team are ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And it's a team that really lacked heart. It's so funny because you see like the Miami Heat right now. That's a team that's like 100% heart. That's got Goran Dragic out there just rocking it and carrying the team in the fourth quarter. And Jimmy Bucket's not playing a great game, but still fighting with heart and grit. And then you have to watch the Clippers and you're like, what is this abomination? And how much did they give up to put this in place? And how much of it is a blueprint that is not something to follow? So you look at the Clippers, they're eliminated. They're going to put it together another year. They'll probably tinker with some of those other pieces, but I think they're primarily set. Going into next season, they're the blueprint for that. Milwaukee essentially doesn't want to go down, right? Mm-hmm. Milwaukee doesn't want to have to sit there and go, hey, I have to bring in another superstar with Giannis for 1 year and try to make this thing happen. How do you think Milwaukee approaches this offseason? And does any of their cast-offs end up playing for the Suns?
Oh,
not Eric Bledsoe.
No, please God, no. Of course, that's not going to happen. But you know what? They had a meeting with Giannis. They told him they're going to go over the cap space. And it's funny, the teams that have actually won, I think it was like the stat 8 of the last 10 years or 8 out of the last 12 years or so they max the cap over the cap to win the championship. So that's what they're gonna have to do in Milwaukee. If they want to keep him, they got to pay someone, overpay him, because no one wants to come to Milwaukee, right? Right now, you're just talking about, I want to be West Coast. If I'm East Coast, maybe Chicago, maybe New York, maybe Miami. But honestly, no one wants to go to Milwaukee. So you have to overpay somebody. It's like, who is that someone going to be? And then plus, is that somebody going to be good enough for Giannis? Is it going to be good enough for him to actually re-sign next year too as well? Because you have to think now, going into next season, I feel like Giannis is going to be there. But then the next following offseason, you're going to have to worry about, is Giannis going to come to Phoenix? That's the fun part of it. But I don't know who they would get to join this team to have him stay. And it's not really sad. It's just, I think these guys want to win a championship quicker than ever. They don't want to. Giannis will put in the work, but they don't want to put in the work to where they have to do it themselves or do it with a bunch of role players. And it's not going to happen like that anymore.
Yeah, and that's why everybody bounces around the NBA, is they're trying to find that magical run that'll lead them to a championship. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, what you get in its stead is just kind of a bunch of draft picks and broken franchises that are crippled. I mean, look at Cleveland, a crippled franchise in an effort to try to get that championship for LeBron. That's been the fun thing over this past week, I guess, is hearing, Giannis unfollowed everybody on the Bucks except his brother. Everybody's overreading into it. Does he want out? Does he not want out? I think the Suns can avoid the Clipper blueprint. Would I want Giannis playing in Phoenix next season? Absolutely. But what I want to avoid is bringing Giannis to Phoenix and giving up the franchise banking on 1 year. Because, again, look at what the Clippers gave up in an effort to bring in Kawhi and PG there for 2 years. No one's signing baseball contracts right now. 10 years, 45, $450 million. That's not happening in basketball. They're all, to your same point, they're all trying to win now. Everybody wants to win right now. So they're like, I'm going to do it for 2 years, try it out. If I don't like it, I'm going somewhere else. And it sucks as a fan because I'm loyal to this team. I'm not loyal. If Devin Booker goes off to another franchise, I'm going to support him. Unless it's like the Spurs or the Lakers, I'm going to support him. Be like, hey, kudos to you, Book. I hope you do well wherever you go. But I'm a Phoenix Suns fan. These guys have no loyalty to the cities that we love so much. And that's one thing I actually like about the Suns right now is I really feel like we have a team that's loyal to this city and loyal to this fan base. And I think Giannis is one of those players too.
Yeah, I think so too. But honestly, that was him going into this year. He was that player. Now I don't think he is. I think he will really take it upon himself to win a championship and get there as quick as he can. But it's crazy because we have in the comments, I wouldn't really want Giannis to be here from Nicholas Tan. But I honestly think you say that, but yeah, championship in the organic way.
Yeah, I'd like to make it the organic way, with Denver.
Yeah, exactly. But honestly, it might not be enough. But what the Clippers did is they had Kawhi. So Kawhi was a proven champion, and he had to go through the Achilles heel basically of Kevin Durant and the other guy too. Who was the other one that got hurt?
Steph Curry?
Klay Thompson. So they both went down. He won a championship. So what you're banking on is you're going to get to the championship with Kawhi, but then you need that extra piece with Paul George, which you don't know for sure if he's a champion or not, or he has what it takes. Obviously, he doesn't. So what you're getting with Giannis is a guy that went to the Western Conference Finals last year, correct? And he may be a championship guy, he may not be, but he puts his heart and soul into the team and to winning. So you can count on that. And you have the guy in Booker too, which I don't feel like he would be it would be tough. Who would be number one? Who would be number two? But honestly, I think if you have Giannis here, and you have Booker. Those are two guys. You saw Booker in the bubble. Those are two guys that are going to win. They're competitive. They're going to give it their all. They're not going to make comments like Paul George. That's going to scare away every other team to try to make this trade for a big, successful superstar, which he might have done. But Paul George gave it no effort at all. It's just disappointing.
Yeah, Paul George, what happened to that guy? I was never huge.
I don't know.
I was never a huge PG-13 fan. Like when he was in Indiana, he was winning. He became an Olympian. He blew out his leg. He went to OKC. He was there for a couple of years. He kind of shocked everyone by staying there that extra year, essentially. But then he demanded to be traded. So I mean, he's never had that killer instinct. And it's funny when you look at the Clippers because you have two guys who, although Kawhi has a killer instinct, two just emotionless guys. And it's hard to get behind a franchise. Those are your two franchise players. And again, it's just frustrating to hear that. It's like, oh, well, we really didn't think that this was the year. We were just kind of here. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Then don't show up to the bubble, bro.
Yeah,
like, don't tear out my heart.
Yeah, seriously. Like, especially Clippers fans. Come on. If you're going to do that somewhere, go to LA like the Lakers. Oh, go to LA. They're in LA. Go to the Lakers to do that. Don't go to the Clippers. Those poor fans. Never got anything. Stat?
Like, what was their record trying to get into Western Conference Finals? Not NBA Finals. Western Conference Finals is like 0-8 or something in their franchise.
Yeah,
like, oh, man, that hurts so bad. So you look at some of the other teams that were eliminated this past week. The Toronto Raptors lost to the Boston Celtics. That was a really fun series to watch. Boston down currently 0-2 to the Heat, which we'll talk about here momentarily. But the Raptors are one of those really good teams that I really enjoyed watching because I think that they were very well coached. Do you think that they try to bring it back next year, or is it kind of, or is now the time that we can get Serge Ibaka? Because I think he's a free agent. Yeah, he's a free agent. So, I mean, would you like, because we've talked about in the past, like we both like Serge Ibaka, and I'd like to have Ibaka on the bench.
Yeah, definitely. I like Ibaka. He's a guy that can definitely bring that experience to the team. He can bring basically a lot that like kind of DeAndre Ayton can do, shot blocking. He can shoot the three. He's not too good at really just banging down low anymore. He's more just spreading the floor, which is perfect. I think he would be a great fit coming off the bench. I think the thing is, I think he will probably make as much, I feel like, as Aaron Baines will next year, like on a contract. But would you rather have Ibaka on the same, like, what if it's like 15 mil a year or 12? And that's what Aaron Baines is going to get. Who would you rather have in that situation?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Because I feel like Ibaka does more, though.
Yeah, if it's a 1 or 2 year deal, like I'm taking Ibaka over Baines because I know I'm going to get better defense. Now, granted, Serge Ibaka's older and his defense is a little bit muted, but I think he'd be a great addition to the team. I love Aaron Baines. So Aaron Baines fan club, the Twitter, don't at me, don't get mad at me, but I'd love to bring Serge Ibaka here. I just think that he'd be a great veteran presence. We're talking about not building this team through the draft anymore. I think that, our comments on our live stream, people are saying it too. I'm done. Boyd, I'm done with the draft for now. I'm with you, Boyd. Like, I think we're all tired with the draft. We want some proven guys playing for us. And I think Ibaka is somebody who, as Toronto starts to see the sun set on their championship run last year and their run this year, and starts to kind of figure out what's next in their franchise and try to figure out some of their contracts, Serge Ibaka is a guy that potentially the Suns could be interested in. It comes down to whether or not he's interested in the Suns. And we're developing a culture here where, again, I've said this before, and we say this at the end of every offseason, Matthew, this is the most important offseason in Phoenix Suns history. Because now we're really going to see how, like, free agents view us. Like, are we a team that does have that culture that we all see and we're referencing? Like, is that permeating throughout the league, and we're seeing that with interested free agents, or are we going to end up with, like Glenn Robinson III or something? We'll really kind of see what our power is. But Ibaka is somebody who I would thoroughly enjoy having on the team, and I would take, even if it's not a $12 to $15 million deal, if it's for 1 or 2 seasons, I would take over Aaron Baines.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And what the Raptors can do, too, is if they want a pick, they can trade some of these players away that they have for some picks, because I feel like they have a good culture there. I mean, not a lot of players want to go to Toronto. I mean, over Phoenix, I feel like you would want to play in Phoenix, right? You would rather come here. This offseason, there's not too much big superstars that are going to be out there, but I think Phoenix is a place where players would want to be over Toronto, but Toronto already has something there that they can bring in anybody, and they can win. They can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals probably every year now.
Yeah, Nick Nurse, hell of a coach.
Yeah.
Houston Rockets, obviously, they're blowing that up. I mean, DAntoni's already gone. Where does DAntoni end up, in your opinion?
Oh man, I was thinking about this other night. I'm like, where could he land that would be perfect? And I totally forgot. So I should have wrote it down because I thought of a perfect team, but I'll let you know next podcast.
Oh, I got the perfect team right now.
I gotta do some mushrooms and meditate and all that, just get that thought back. But
turn the lights down low, get at one with the Zen, be like Mike D'Antoni.
Wait, you're thinking of
New Orleans.
Oh, that was a team. That is crazy. That is exactly the team I was thinking. But what is it? Lonzo Ball going to be there still?
I think if you bring D'Antoni in, he'll all of a sudden start to smile a little bit more, and he knows that he has a guy who's going to put full faith in his ability to run the team, and I think that he would really be benefited by having D'Antoni there. I think Zion, again, I'm not so sure about Zion. I think it's something we've been talking about since the draft last year. It's like, hey, the guy just kind of runs funny. So we'll see how his weight is just kind of
circles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor guy.
And D'Antonio is going to try to run the shit out of him. But I think that him with Brandon Ingram and Zoe and Drew Holiday, I mean, I think that could really be a fun team. Raymond Gonzalez in the chat says the Pacers. What do you think about him playing or coaching the Pacers?
Well, the Oladipo, if he's healthy, that would be fun as hell. And you know how much I love Brogdon. I love that team. They're not too big, but they're big. It's weird when you look at the Pacers, like they're not huge, but they're big. Like I don't know if that makes any sense, but they can really throw some people around, dude, and they can shoot and they can play make. They can do a lot there. You got TJ Warren that won't pass the ball, but they have a lot there to work with. I like the New Orleans team though. I like that team for Mike D'Antoni. Next, if he doesn't retire.
So what do the Rockets do with Westbrook and Harden? I mean, I could totally see like Harden ending up in LA, the Clippers version, and like a trade with Paul George and him playing out there. I mean, the Rockets are going to blow it up. They're going to blow it up.
No, they have to. It's just it's
the experiment's done.
It is. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I mean, they have a bunch of players where you think they wouldn't get anywhere, but Harden, Westbrook, I guess, said he was hurt, something like that. I just don't think you can bring that back and do it again. Do you think like even James Harden will be traded for another superstar? You think he'll be traded for somebody? Do you think he'll even want out? What if Harden had the opportunity to come to Phoenix? What would we give up to get him? Everything? Like a Giannis trade or no?
Yeah, you'd have to give up the franchise to get him here.
Yeah. I mean, would you want that?
I don't think so. I don't know. I just
so either.
We've never really seen James Harden, and we've talked about this before, but we've never really seen James Harden play with the right guy next to him. It's like he has Chris Paul next to him, so a defensive point guard, and then you have Russell Westbrook playing next to him, like an offensive point guard, and you go even further back, it's like him and like Dwight Howard, who's not really an offensive guy. So, I mean, the Suns, if the pieces fell right, it'd be a nice place for him because it'd be him.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'd still have Booker. But Booker's more of a true two guard versus another point guard. So it'd be interesting. I think it's got to be superstar for superstar.
I think so too. Yeah.
And I think it's like Paul George, maybe Philly. Philly's looking to do something. I know they'll stay with Joel Embiid, but that Tobias Harris contract is dog shit. That Alpha Horford contract is dog shit. But those are the kind of contracts that you can trade and maybe potentially do something with Harden. So those are the kind of the two teams that have a lot of big names and big contracts that could move some things around just to try something different. It's funny in the chat, people, Harden, no.
Or is it New Orleans? Is it
Harlan's New Orleans? Okay,
yeah, there you go.
No. What fans would be happy to have Westbrook? And then Nicky Tan says, I wouldn't want Westbrook here, honestly. So that's the other side. It's like if Harden does stay. Is Westbrook the guy who gets excommunicated from Houston and ends up somewhere? Would you like him here?
No, I feel bad for Westbrook though. I feel like I've never seen a player like that go into a playoff series and be like, I can't help. I always was rooting for it. Just put him at center. I feel like Westbrook down under the paint. Yeah, he was unstoppable in the paint. He was elbowing everyone down there. He was getting boards. I'm not even lying, dude. If there was one team that he would be center for, it would be that team. And that's what they should have done. I swear he was killing it down there. He couldn't shoot any further from the paint, so just keep him down there.
I guess. Guy couldn't shoot threes. That was an ugly series, man. That was another series where I feel like a team just lacked heart. That's two teams in the West that lost. Where like Toronto played hard. They were trying to win. They forced it to a game 7. The Bucks were just shell shocked by the Heat. But the two teams in the West were just like, that lackadaisical effort is just, it's something I'm
but
not a fan of.
The Lakers were just so good. I don't think they would have beat the Lakers even with their best efforts, because of course I picked the Lakers to win the championship. I mean, you got 2 of the top 3 players playing. It's hard, dude, especially if you have your other star in Westbrook that's an all-star this year, not being able to like participate in the game. You're gonna lose. That's what you're seeing with the shrugged shoulders, the poor like posture they had on the court, all of that. It's because they knew it was over. There's nothing they can do to stop the Lakers.
And the double incentive behind that is like, as you're getting your ass kicked, you're like, you know what, this sucks. We're fucking losing. But I will be on a plane tonight and at home for the first time in 2.5 months. Yes, so you really start to see, when those teams are starting to lose, they're conceding. And we saw that numerous times in round 2. So, round 2's over. The Raptors, the Bucks, the Clippers, the Rockets, they're all gone. So we're left with the Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers. And there's really one reason I wanted to bring this up. This is really 2 differing styles of play in each conference, a juxtaposition, if you will, Matthew. If you look at the Eastern Conference, you have 2 teams in the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat that are not center heavy. Okay, Bam Adebayo is probably the best center in that series. Well, he is the best center in that series because Theis isn't, a all-star in any way, shape, or form.
Back.
Yeah. So I mean, and then so you look at kind of the small ball dream that Houston kind of wanted to be, minus 57 threes a game, is being played out in the East, and then in the West you have Nikola Jokic going against Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, and a lot of big bodies and centers. And I find it interesting because the 2 different styles. Is that the cops coming to get you again?
Yeah, little sound effects, dude. You love it, right?
Yeah, that's what you get from mentioning shrooms on a live stream, dude. Like they're gonna be like knocking at the door, like, "Excuse me, sir."
They're portobellos.
But those are the 2 differing styles, and I'm really interested to see kind of like who conquers all.
Yeah,
because you go back the past 5 years, and obviously the Golden State Warriors kind of dictated pace on what the NBA should be with all the threes. And then Houston kind of is like, well, we're going to follow that blueprint unbelievably. And now it's destroyed them. But if you have like centers kind of becoming more of the force in the league once again, the Suns are set up nicely because we have a dominant center who's going to continue to get better. So that's what I'm kind of looking at both of these series as they play out. What are your thoughts on that?
It's interesting because KOC, one of our favorites, actually tweeted out, it's positionless basketball. It really is. He goes over that over and over and over again. I mean, you can say the size matters in the West, but honestly, you have. I was just waiting for that. So, but you have Anthony Davis. I feel like he plays small. When I watch Anthony Davis, I'm not saying DeAndre is him, but his game is kind of like DeAndre in a way to where he'll shoot the jump shot, and then he'll actually take his defender down low and just try to shoot it over him. And that's a lot of what DeAndre Ayton's trying to do. He just has to be efficient with it. And I just think that if you're talking about the way the teams match up to the East and the West, Adebayo too as well reminds me a lot of DeAndre Ayton running the offense. He reminds me of what DeAndre Ayton maybe can be, but they're statistically they're about the same. Statistically, yes, but I think Bam is just his IQ's higher than DeAndre Ayton right now. But they run the offense almost the same exact way. It's like a lot of pick and rolls, a lot of picks. He sets. It's like Bam, just take it to the basket, but no, he hands it off like DeAndre Ayton. It sets up the play, but finishes the play, and that's what DeAndre Ayton I feel like has to learn. But dude, I love the teams we have right now. I love the Heat versus the Celtics, and I love the Nuggets because they actually give a crap versus the Lakers. So I mean, it's a good time all around.
So which conference final do you want to start talking about first? East or West? You tell me.
Let's go East.
Let's go East. Yeah, that's the one I'm actually more intrigued with right now.
Me too.
Because that's my only team that's left. I mean, I believe you said the Lakers and the Bucks in the finals. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your Bucks are gone. And then I said the Clippers versus Celtics, and the Clippers are gone. So the Celtics are kind of the only team I have left in that stupid nondescript bet that doesn't garner any results or anything earlier. But I'm kind of, we were sitting there watching the game the other night, and you're like, are you going for the Celtics still because you called them? And it's like, not really. Like, I really like Miami, the way that Miami plays ball. I love how they have heart. I love how they have grit. I love that they have, Goran still scoring in his old age.
Oh, he's killing it.
I love Bam Adebayo. And this is our first really, we know them a little bit because the Suns did play this team in the bubble. So we had an opportunity to kind of review them and speak with some of their writers on their SB Nation site. So we were very excited to hear kind of what their perception was of that team. And now that we're kind of everybody's seeing it, you're just like, wow. Like, if you want to talk about a team that's going to, if they win the championship, if the Heat win the championship, they instantly become the blueprint for the NBA. Because
always, that's yeah.
But but they are the closest thing, I feel like, to the Golden State Warriors. You know, they have a center, you know, who was never really the focal point of the offense in Golden State, but it's nothing but shooters and guys that play defense. You got Jimmy Buckets, who is a shooter who plays defense and is physical. You have Duncan Robinson, who looks like he should be, you know, like he was knocking on my door the other day trying to, you know, have I read the Book of Mormon? You know, like I felt like, and he's out there just nailing threes. Tyler Herro. Let's talk about Tyler Herro. What did Dan Le Batard say about him the other day?
Oh, you listen to that show? No, I'm just kidding. This is my show. So I'm just kidding. This is the number one sports show in the world, I guess. But anyways, I guess so. The thing is, Tyler Herro, they love him over there. Of course they do. But the thing is, they want to compare him to Devin Booker and say they say he can be better than Booker. They say he can be a better Devin Booker. So that's interesting to say because actually their stats kind of compared in the first year. You know, Devin Booker was 13 points per game, 34% from three in 76 games. And then Tyler Herro, 13 points per game, 38% from three. But then also he's not really the vocal point either. But he's a guy that's surprising everybody. And what's really cool is they got him like later in the draft, like Booker. He's already going to be a superstar, they're saying. I see the confidence. You remember the first matchup where Herro wanted to guard Devin Booker that game? He told Jimmy Butler, I'm going to guard Devin Booker this game. Like, you can't tell me no. And he did. And he did a great job. Very confident guy. He actually, I feel like he won that game over Booker. And I think it was just that confidence that kind of struck Booker like, oh, wow, this guy actually has it. And that hits everybody that way. It's like everybody doesn't expect it. You got these baby faces. They have these the chinny hairs, and they're killing it. They're going to be superstars. And that's the Devin Booker trend. You know, they got the baby faces, a little facial hairs, and then they're going to be superstars.
And they're fucking Jenners, you know?
Yes.
So do you think that he could be better than Devin Booker?
Is it weird, though, when they played each other the first time, I kind of thought, I'm like, well, this guy might be better than Devin Booker. I actually thought that before. I was scared of him. I didn't want Devin Booker to go head to head with this guy because I thought this guy might be, not right now. I'm just saying, I think in the future, of course, within 3 or 4 years, he might be, because he does everything in the game. He'll do everything for this team. And to start with the Heat in this culture and not to be Devin Booker in a losing culture, that helps even more. You are just right from the bat, you're working your ass off. You're in the hotel room like Jimmy Butler the other night, just banging on the floor, but he's just doing weights. He's doing weights. No one's invited to the actual bubble to see him. They're working their asses off. And that's Tyler Herro. That's what he gets with this team. And that's the edge he has over Devin Booker.
Well, Boyd says, Lissy, you're going to make me hate Herro.
Sorry.
You know,
no, he's fun to root, and he's in the East.
But I agree with you that situationally, because it's so hard. That's such a subjective term. Like, better. Will he be better than Devin Booker? Booker's not even done becoming who he's going to be. Tyler Herro absolutely has potential. He's going to be. He's clearly a better rebounder. He's a fantastic shooter, but he's also in an amazing situation. The kid's in his rookie year and playing in the Eastern Conference Finals, meaningful minutes, and he's hitting them. You know, he's hitting those big shots. Devin Booker's most meaningful minutes were against the Clippers in the bubble, you know, and trying to get this team in the playoffs. So it's going to be such, like, I don't know if you could ever say truly better. More successful might be the better way to approach it. You know, Tyler Herro is probably going to be more successful because he's coming to a situation that isn't completely fucked like it was when Booker came into here, with a team that didn't have an identity and is trying to figure out who they are, what they want to do. You know, they have Pat Riley as the GM over there in Miami. He has a proven system. He likes certain kind of guys. He brings them in, and guess what? They're being successful, and they're really fun to watch. Bam Adebayo is fun to watch. Duncan Robinson, Tyler Herro. I mean, the rebounding that he was doing in the last game against Boston when they were really getting out-rebounded, out-muscled, and outplayed in the first half. Tyler Herro was part of that force that came and helped them win that game ultimately. And they're up 2-0 on the Boston Celtics, which I didn't think was going to happen. Now, granted, the game's tomorrow. Boston, I feel, is going to win that game, and then we're kind of going to have this back and forth, and it might end up in 7. But Tyler Herro being better than Devin Booker someday, maybe. But we don't even know what Devin Booker's ceiling is yet. It's huge right now. It's like vaulted ceilings in my living room. It's, you know, it's both not players. Like, both players. And that's
idea.
fun. That's fun.
It is fun, yeah.
Yeah, and Raymond Gonzalez says it right in the chat. Hero isn't the first or second option on the Heat. Like Booker's had to be all this time. It makes him a different kind of player, parentally having to be like the guy every year on a team that's always changing around him. So Hero has the luxury of trying to develop who he wants to be and what he wants to do with this team. And ultimately, it's going to determine whether or not he's successful or not. Who do you think wins that series? Because I feel like
I don't know.
It's tough, man. Like he could sweep him or it could go to 7. Like I don't even know which way it's going to go.
No, it's kind of weird because you don't think it's over. I don't think it's over. There's a tussle in the locker room. You hear people yelling and stuff. That's the best. After going down 0-2, a team is just like fighting each other in the locker room. So,
whereas the Clippers are just like, I don't know.
No, I know exactly. That's the difference, man. But you can't count them out. And the other player on the other side for the Boston Celtics is Jayson Tatum. And you hear a lot. He made the 3rd team All NBA. You hear a lot that he's already better than Devin Booker. I hear that a lot. And I don't know why, but for some reason, people think he is. And I can't get over the fact I just don't know what he is. Like, what kind of player is he? And like, is he clutch? What he is. That's a thing. Like, let him develop.
He's not clutch.
Yeah, I know. Let him develop. It's like the opposite of Booker, like where Booker just had the opportunity to develop. Tatum, he's an all-star like rookie year. He's going to be a superstar right away. Now it's just like if he can't perform and he can't score in the playoffs, he can't make he's throwing passes all over the place. It's just like, let this guy learn. I hope it doesn't crush him too much. If they lose this series, of course he'll come back, but he can't expect to be that great so soon. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
I don't know what he is yet. So I know it's really weird to say, but that's just what I think about him.
Well, Jayson Tatum, no, you nailed the nail on the head. You nailed the nail on the head. But it's true. I mean, he's like, look at Herro and then look at Jayson Tatum even. Both have come into these situations in which there's solid franchises around them and they've performed. But the difference is Jayson Tatum, like when he's quote unquote the guy, even though you got Kemba Walker on the team, who I wouldn't necessarily say is the guy, but even Jaylen Brown's, in my opinion, more experienced, more cerebral, makes better decisions. Like he's the better player out of him and Tatum, but like Tatum's got the Gatorade commercial and Tatum's walking around, trying to sell me a BMW or something. And it's like, because the media and the sports media is trying to fake news. I feel like because the media is telling us that Jayson Tatum's so great, now there's expectations that he should be great. Yeah. And he's still a third year player. And he's still got a lot of growing to do. And again, you don't know what is he 6'8"? Like he is very tall. He's very athletic, and he doesn't really fit a specific mold. Like you said, KOC. Positionless basketball. He's great for positionless basketball, but when you start to shovel all the expectations on him, and the team is even saying, "Hey, listen, it's tied. I need you to shoot a 3 with 8 seconds left in the game," and he just sits there and dribbles, or you have the ball with 8 seconds left, and he just sits there, dribbles, and takes a 33-footer. It's just like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in Tatum because I still think that he has a lot of growing to do. I don't think he's nearly as great as everybody gives him credit for. He is, and I think he is a good player, but I don't think he is an all-NBA player. I really don't. Like, you watch the decision-making he has. I mean, he's the guy who in, I think it was Game 6 or Game 7 against the Raptors. It was Game 6 where, like, he's throwing the ball away to Nick Nurse on the sideline. Like, he's going down, he's doing the Bledsoe plays where he drives to the lane, is fucked, and doesn't know what to do because he doesn't see the court. He's just so focused on trying to put the ball in the rim. And then he's the guy who gets Bam Adebayo'd. I mean, wasn't that the greatest block you've ever seen?
Oh, it's amazing. It's funny. It came like right after Kawhi blocked with his middle finger, almost the same. Like, you know what I mean? And it was out of nowhere. He seriously came out of nowhere. And I think that's the thing. It's like Jayson Tatum, like there's a look in his eye between him and Herro. You can just look at him on the court, the way they're playing. And it's probably just a Heat mentality that the Heat have, I guess. But if there's a look, he just seems confident. Like you can trust the guy. Tatum just doesn't have that trust look yet. It's just still a scared look, and it sucks because we all have it. People can see it in us, and to be in those situations to where it's like you got to win this, you got to go to the championship this year, or else you're gonna get bashed all off season, Jayson Tatum. But I hope he can relax and they can get through this series. And I think they can still win. That's why I still have it up in the air, and I wouldn't be surprised if they win in 6. It'd be just, you know what I mean? That's just the way these players have been.
Mm-hmm. So, again, on the Eastern Conference side, you have two teams that are playing a little bit of the small ball. The Heat, most are what the Suns most resemble. A team that's got shooters, a team that has an unbelievably athletic big, although our big is taller. I wouldn't say he's nearly as aggressive. He's a lot more finesse than Bam is. But, if the whole NBA is trying to go this way and Miami wins the championship, I feel like Phoenix is kind of on that pathway, if you will, to becoming something like that. It's a blueprint for James Jones to look at and go, okay, this is kind of how to win in the NBA. You got to play defense. You got to have grit. You got to have toughness. You have to have togetherness, which is something that the Suns definitely put together in the bubble. And you got to have, the Devin Booker types with the Bam Adebayo types and the DeAndre Ayton types. If you look at the Western Conference, you have the Jazz, the Nuggets. They're the same team, whatever. The Nuggets, who are down 3-1 to the Jazz, who are down 3-1 to the Clippers, come all the way back in both fucking series, and now they're playing the Los Angeles Lakers. And I don't know what the final score of that game is. We decided to start the pod a little bit early because they were down like 30 in the fourth. I will say that the refereeing in that game was absolute dog shit. There's too many whistles. They were getting everybody in foul trouble on the Denver Nuggets, but I still think that is a series that says, hey, centers still matter, right?
Yeah, but I've always been opposite to where I don't worry about that stuff. Like, honestly, again, positionless basketball. But yeah, Lakers won 126-114. But
they brought it back a little bit.
Centers still matter, but like it's funny because Anthony Davis plays the 4. Jokic, he's a big dude, but he's not a typical center. You'll never see another guy like him. You'll never see another guy like Anthony Davis, really. These guys are just so unique in a way. And what Ayton can take away from Jokic, because I think Ayton's going to be a great passer. And I think if Ayton just settles down a little bit, like Jokic does, even though he says he's just super slow, so it works out for him, especially like when they're playing the Clippers and they're down 3-1. They come back, but you have that fight within the – okay, so what it is the Nuggets – will get what they want on offense because they take their time. And then on the other end, you had the Clippers where it's just basically like you can't count on Kawhi. You can't count on Paul George. So you don't have to worry about that, really. So then that worked out in their favor. So it's going to be interesting to see Jokic versus AD, even though they don't really play the same position. I just think that what the Suns going to take away from this is Ayton is kind of like AD and kind of like Jokic in a way. Mm-hmm. He can take parts from their games, which is great. And it makes the Suns in such a great situation next year, dude, with these guys that they have. And I love watching the Lakers and the Nuggets go head to head. I kind of like it more than what the Clippers would have been in a way, just because there's more emotion. You have Jamal Murray on the other end too, that's talking crap. So that's awesome. Because, if you have Kawhi there, it's going to be basically pointless and they're just going to be quiet the whole time. And Paul George will probably pout because he's depressed like everybody else in the world. But anyways, what were we talking about?
Well, Nikola Jokic is Mother Teresa because – no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I think it's – again, it's fun to watch because, you say positionless basketball. And the reason I keep bringing it up is because that's been a lot of the narrative recently is like, is the center position dead? It doesn't matter, And seeing as the Suns, drafted with their number 1 pick a center, like, did we make the right move and all that bullshit that everybody talks about. But I think the versatility of Ayton, he plays almost like every one of these teams is, I see part of the Suns in it. And I see an avenue to success for James Jones. If he just kind of picks one of those avenues and goes with it. And says, hey, we are a finesse team. We're not an overly physical team. So let's really focus on finesse and defense and shooting. Or do we want to be more like Denver and have that big we're running a lot of the offense through because Ayton can't pass the ball because that's what makes Jokic so successful. This series is going to come down to Jamal Murray. It honestly is. Like his disappearing act in the last series that he played in versus the first series against Utah where he was dropping like 50 every night because there was just no defense in that one. Because Donovan Mitchell, as great as he is, can't play any fucking defense. It's completely going to come down to Jamal Murray because they're going to do everything they can to neutralize Jokic. They have the guys to throw at him that the Clippers couldn't. Like the Clippers kept trying to throw like Zubac on him and like Paul George, and they kept trying to do double teams.
Horrendous.
And he just picked him apart. He's taller than him, and he could see over all of them. He just picked him apart. Like when it comes to the Lakers, like once Jokic was in there with Dwight Howard tonight, like Dwight Howard just dominated him. He was physical. He got right up under his grill and just annoyed him and got him in foul trouble early. So it's really going to come down to Jamal Murray, which is like, Devin Booker. It's those Devin Booker series. And I can't wait till we get to the playoffs and we're like, okay, this has got to be a D-Book series. This has got to be a DeAndre Ayton series.
Yeah.
And, because it's going to happen, man. Like it's in the future. The Suns are looking great. I'm really interested to see what they do with this offseason, but this has got to be the next year where they make the playoffs. And when you look at these teams that are in the Western Conference Finals, I see a lot of similarities with especially Denver. Like I feel like Denver, homegrown team, they drafted all their guys. In fact, they drafted so many guys, they were trading guys away because they just couldn't pay them. And I think that, you have that team playing against the team that is completely and utterly purchased. Like, the GM Pelinka over there in LA, like just went on Amazon. He's like, let me get one LeBron. I don't need this Kuzma or I don't need this Alonzo Ball anymore. Let me get an AD. And like it got delivered to his house and now they're in the fucking Western Conference Finals. Two completely differing strategies. And obviously the Suns are going to go down the homegrown route, hoping we get maybe a good free agent this offseason, knowing that there's not a lot of great free agents.
Yeah, and hopefully we're right in the middle because honestly, I feel like Phoenix might be a place players want to play. But honestly, I like the homegrown guys, and you don't blame them for wanting to get out of some places. But that team they put together over with the Nuggets is great. I just think it takes time. It's a slower offense. It's really a lot of what we've never seen in the NBA with this offense. You just have a guy that scores 50, and then some other guy that's 7 feet tall that can just pass over everybody, get everybody in foul trouble. His matchups, his IQ with his matchups, Jokic, it's just insane how he can just draw the foul but not be a little B about it like Doncic. You know what I mean? Like he can draw the foul, do his little prayer and all that, and we're all good. But honestly, so we're homegrown, but I seriously think the Suns can get somebody big here. I think we can, and I think it's.
But do you think it's this offseason or next?
No, it's next.
Yeah,
it's next. I don't think there. You think there's going to be a lot of moving around though with teams, like a lot of trades or anything? I
do. I honestly do because again, we go back to what we talked. Yeah, you look at the teams that are close to getting to conference finals. Like it's one thing to lose in the conference finals. I mean, we know that as Suns fans. And even then, you're like, okay, we need to tweak some things if we want to get to the NBA finals. Like when you lose in the second round, you are scrambling because you're close to getting to a conference finals and you need to add a piece or subtract a piece. And sometimes brash decisions are made in an effort to do so. Like there's no way that Houston doesn't blow it up. There's no way that Philly doesn't make one big splash. They've got 4 huge contracts. They got to do something with it in an effort to try to make themselves successful, not only next year, but in the long run. So, I mean, there's going to be trades. Like that's how it always is. Like you're like, this is going to be a slow off season. We don't know what the cap room is going to be. I don't really think anything's going to happen. Bam, somebody gets traded, and it's just curveball. I love it. That's what makes the NBA so fun and exciting. It just sucks that they throw it. Is there a plane going off in your backyard?
Yeah. No, I've heard it.
Oh, sorry. Cool. Yeah. Well, so did Mother Teresa at times.
Oh, well.
But that's what makes the NBA so fun and exciting. It just sucks that they moved it back another month. I was really looking forward to like free agency and the draft and like 1 month. It was supposed to be 1 month from today because we're recording this on Friday night, and we have to wait 2 months now from today.
Yeah,
son of a bitch.
But we find things to talk about, dude. I mean, you can relate the Suns to anything. The playoffs are such a great example because a lot of these teams, you can see the Suns, like you were saying, it's just that effort the Suns have to put into the winning culture, and that's what we're building here. So we should be there pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk a little bit about NBA awards?
Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, let's just drop a little bit about this. Not too much to say. The Suns didn't make any of the All-NBA teams. Shocking. Devin Booker received 3 votes for third team All-NBA. So, hey, we're on our way. Is there anybody that he could have replaced on the all-third NBA team? Jayson Tatum, Jimmy Butler, Rudy Gobert, Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook.
It's tough, dude, because Russell Westbrook, of course, that's the guy you thought, right? To replace in a way?
No, it's Jayson Tatum.
Oh, whatever. But they're winning. They're winning teams, though. That's all it is. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised he didn't make it. I mean, he probably will next year. That's what we say every year. But honestly, these guys are great that are in their spot. Russell Westbrook, maybe. But I mean, if you're winning, you're going to the playoffs. You're number 4, 3 seed. You're gonna make the all third team, all NBA team. So
Trae Young didn't end up on an all NBA team because I would have lost my fucking mind. Because like I know I was pissed on the last podcast about him being on 2K. I was having a conversation with somebody probably not too long ago over the weekend. God, it was Hayden. I was talking to Hayden about Trae Young, and he's like, dude, Trae Young's fucking awesome. I'm like, no, he's not. And I just like started spouting all these stats. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot you and Matthew have a podcast. Like, you probably researched this shit. I'm like, yes, I do. And Trae Young getting a 90 overall is ridiculous shit. Just because he shoots it a ton doesn't make him great at it. Like, I don't understand that. So
he sends out great tweets, so really good tweets.
Yeah, but you know what? Comb your hair, Trae Young. Comb your hair.
Big can't.
You want to talk about our dumb trade of the week, Matthew?
Let's do it.
Let's drop it.
Dumb trade of the week.
All right, our dumb trade of the week. This one comes via Facebook. Now, obviously, there's a lot of trades that are kind of circulating out there. A lot of them are actually kind of good. If you take a look at like what Bleacher Report puts out, generally it's turtle shit. But right now they're actually putting together some decent looking trades, if you will. But then if you want to find anything that's really fucked up, just hang out at some of the Facebook sites. This one comes from Joshua Payne and he put this on Phoenix Suns Nation, which is actually probably my favorite Suns Facebook group. And he says, I know y'all going to hate the trade machine, but hear me out. Now, getting Lou was a little extra, but we can take him off and the trade still works. If you want Lou, probably throw in some future first rounds to the Clippers, blah, blah, blah. So essentially what he says is the Suns receive Lou Williams, Ibaka Zubac, and Lauri Markkanen. Okay, so 2 Clippers and a Bull. The Clippers get Zach LaVine and Kelly Oubre. The Chicago Bulls get Paul George.
Who's that bad for? I think that's a pretty even trade right across the board, man.
So maybe it is. So
I kind of like this trade.
So Zubac has got to come in and play your backup center. I like that. Lou Williams, backup 2 guard. I like that. Lauri Markkanen. I like this. Okay, so good trade. Good trade of the week. Good trade.
I love this trade. I was like, I looked at it 10 times. I'm like, wait, is this really a dumb trade? There's no way, because you're just giving up Kelly Oubre, maybe a pick. But honestly, I mean, that's fine, because I just think even across the board, the Bulls get Paul George. That'd be great for them. And then LA Clippers get Zach LaVine on Kelly Oubre. That'd be cool. A cool little mix there. I like this trade a lot.
Yeah, and we just don't have something that says like smart trade of the week. So we had to go with that. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can share my screen real quick. And I'm not gonna try to share the screen.
Careful what you got on there.
Careful. Maybe that's a good trade. Does anybody in the chat think that that's a good trade? So again, the Suns, all we have to give up apparently is Kelly Oubre in this trade. This is why it's dumb. It will never fucking work. That's why it's dumb. That's why I put it in there. The Suns would get Lou Williams, Ibaka Zubac, and Lauri Markkanen.
That'd be man.
And all we have to give up is Kelly Oubre.
Yeah, I know.
I'm with Cards took that W. Yeah, LOL. I'm lulling that one. Like all we have to give up is Kelly Oubre. And somehow we get Lou Williams, Ibaka Zubac, and Lauri Markkanen. The Bulls get Paul George. The Clippers get Zach LaVine and Kelly Oubre. Like, it would suck to have Kelly Oubre be on the Clippers and, like, have to play against him. Like, every time you play him, it's just, like, sad. He's blowing kisses at us, and you're like, those used to be for me.
Yeah, well, honestly, dude, I would like
Tan, dumb. I love it.
Yeah, this podcast is dumb. Thanks a lot.
Just joking. All right, let's hit a mailbag question. This comes from Shopa Dahape, and he says, was Sean Marion the best defender of all time to never make an all-defensive team, Matthew?
Yeah, probably, but it's funny because Raja Bell was actually on the Bill Simmons. Did you hear that? The podcast he was on with Bill Simmons?
Yeah.
And he was talking about the Defensive Player of the Year award when he won, or didn't win, but he was all defensive player. And, like, they couldn't say anything in front of Sean Marion because he would get his butt hurt. Because he would defend his butt off all year and never get the award. So honestly, he probably is. But I think that's a great story, dude, because of how Sean Marion was. Like, he thought he deserved everything, and then everything hurt his feelings and all that stuff. So I thought it was a great story. Yeah, when Raja Bell said that story, it hurt my feelings because I'm a known Marion lover, and I will defend him into the gates of Mordor. But then I hear stories. It's like DAntoni has to go to Raja Bell and be like, listen, before practice, be like, listen, Raja, you made the all-defensive team. Just telling you right now. Can't tell everybody in a big meeting and celebrate it because Sean Marion over there, like, he might start crying, And I was just like, oh, man, he was a bitch. Damn it. As I went through to answer this question, hold on. Another one.
Yeah, buddy. It's Friday night.
Wow. Hour number 2. Just kidding.
But as you go through and you look at all the players who were great defenders and didn't make all defensive teams, Sean Marion's on the top of the list. I mean, I was looking at some different guys. Don't remember any of their names, but I did research a little bit. I promise. It was like 3 days ago. But yeah, he's got to be one of the best defenders of all time never to make it. I don't know how he didn't make it, but you go through a couple years and that's back when the NBA was saying, hey, this isn't positionless, and he lost out to people like Tim Duncan. So unfortunately, that's just kind of the way it goes. I got one more trade question for you that came via the chat. You ready for this, Matthew?
Oh my God, what is it?
All right, Cards took that W, which, by the way, great name. Cards took that W because go Cardinals, baby.
Let's not get political.
No, let's go Cardinals, baby.
No, yeah,
fucking Murray. Sorry, dude. Those Cardinals, man. They were fun to watch last Sunday, man.
Better than watching the freaking Cowboys,
Fuck those Cowboys, man. The same old Cowboys. That's it's like, how about them Cowboys? Like, same old Cowboys. Blah 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 blah. No, Cardinals looked fucking amazing. Going to DeAndre Hopkins. I just love seeing Kyler Murray play with his new toy, and then when the toy wasn't wide open, he's just like, I'm just gonna run. Boop 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 boop.
His little midget legs.
Yeah, running. Just scoring touchdowns against fucking San Francisco. Fuck San Francisco. All right. Anyways, Cards took that W, put in the chat. How about the Rubio, Oubre, and Sarge, and number 10 for Westbrook? What do you think of that, Matthew?
That's a dumb trade, right?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
Because no one's a fan.
I don't want Westbrook.
And I feel bad. He just has to be a third guy now on somebody's team. And, it might be the Lakers. Who knows?
Yeah. You know what? That might not be a bad. Well, his contract, though. I'd have to look at the details of his contract. If he somehow took like a cut and pay or like LeBron did, they could bring him in there. Seeing Rajon Rondo play, he played well today.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
that'd be too many guys converging on the basket. It would just look funny. But
he can go to the big three. Let's do that. Westbrook to the big three. He would kill there, man.
He'd fuck shit up, and it always look like somebody farted. Because I swear Westbrook always the way he looks is he's got a look on his face like somebody farted. So Cards took that W. I've heard that trade. I'm not a big fan of it because you're giving up a lot, and I'm not a big fan of Russell Westbrook. Matthew, what else you got?
Not on my team. What else do I have?
Yeah, what else do you got? You've been watching anything new or?
Dude, you know what I've been doing last week. We've been hanging out all week, with the family. But no, dude, football's back. Fantasy football, all of that good stuff. You got this is a good time of the year. Like fantasy football starts, and then you got the playoffs for basketball. It's pretty awesome. I love it.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's almost too much. I think that with work being crazy. Again, I work in hospitality. Unfortunately, these past couple weeks, they let go so many people at my work, which is sad. Like the other day, I went over to one of our outlets to get some booze. I needed some rum because everyone's ordering pina coladas by the pool. And I saw like one of my old buddies, and he was there to pick up his last check. And it's just like, it's fucking sad. And what sucks about that is I'm wearing extra hats now. Like I'm also the chef de cuisine now. And it's like, sorry about the burger quality. So you got that going on. Families in town. But football, it's like, what have you been watching? Football, fantasy fucking football. Got Kyler Murray, of course.
Every game matters, yeah.
Yeah, every game matters. It's fun though, man. It's a great time of year. It's so much fun that the NBA playoffs are going on while this is occurring. Like again, this is an oddity and it's super fun. So yeah, sorry Jamsters that it took us so long to put out a podcast. 12 days is literally the longest. We literally went through the pandemic, like putting out 2 or 3 a week. And now like the conference finals are going on. We're just like, dude, we don't have the time. But we'll get one out next week, if not 2. What do you think? Like Tuesdays and Fridays, we should start pumping them out for the Suns Panthers? Or should
it's tough, dude. Let's do Wednesdays, and then if they get restless and they get annoyed, we'll listen to them. We listen to give the people what they want. That's what we're gonna do. So we'll go from there. Wednesdays.
You let us know, Jamsters. I mean, no more death threats, obviously. If you email us at sunsjamsession@gmail.com or you visit sunsjamsession.com and you're leaving those death threats on us not putting out pods, we don't take kindly to that. But if those continue to occur, we'll put out the podcast a couple of times a week instead of just one. But as for now, we're going to do 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. I like the attention.
I like the attention, I'm just trying.
So, once again, everybody, remember to subscribe to the Bright Side of the Sun podcast network. That's where you can get the Suns Jam Session podcast. You can hit us up on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe there as well. You can follow me on Twitter at Darth Voida. You can follow Matthew on Twitter at Matthew Lissy. And make sure that you also subscribe to the pod at Suns Jam on both Instagram and Twitter. Normally I say, well, go ahead.
Oh, say we're not for real. No death threats. We're joking.
No, yeah, please, yeah, we're
Don't take me
clearly
seriously.
we're clearly joking on my second Juicy Jack IPA from Santan. Gotta love it. It also matches what I'm wearing too. It's nice and orange.
Hey,
so,
nice hat, by the way.
On that note, Matthew, I think that's all I got. You got anything else?
Nope. Just go home and love your family.
Amen. Take care, sons, jamsters.